The novel coronavirus didn't stop the Singapore Airshow from taking off, but it sure took away the wind beneath its wings. Despite extra precautions and heightened scrutiny, at least 70 companies have pulled out over fears of the coronavirus outbreak. They include US defense contractor Lockheed Martin and Canada's Bombardier. Visitor numbers have taken a nosedive too.
For this year, the air show with the coronavirus, the business, people coming in is a bit lower than expected. In fact, we do see about 50% turnout on the first day.
Airbus and Boeing are among those attending, but they've downsized their delegations. Boeing, which is trying to recover from a slump caused by 2 fatal crashes, has already announced deals at the show. Officials are confident the industry will recover from the health crisis.
I think it will affect, but not in the long run. I think this is a very short time. I don't see a dip in the business overall because of this virus, actually.
The coronavirus has killed more than 1,000 people and infected more than 40,000 since it was detected in China in December. It's since spread to around 24 countries.
In recent days, we have seen some concerning instances of onward transmission from people with no travel history to China. The detection of this small number of cases could be the spark that becomes a bigger fire.
Fears over a pandemic have prompted several governments to bar cruise liners from docking at their ports. Thailand is the latest country to turn away a Netherlands-flagged ship after Taiwan, Japan and the Philippines refused to let its passengers disembark. The health ministry says it's trying to ward off the virus's spread after other cruise ships have been put into quarantine. Travel and tourism are among the industries most exposed to the epidemic. The outbreaks casting a shadow over profits and challenging industry players to keep attracting customers while also keeping them safe. Sibel Karkus, TRT World.
Well, for more on the coronavirus outbreak, let's go to China political and economic analyst Einar Tangen, who joins us now from Beijing. Welcome back to the program, Einar. Now, we've seen world stock markets rally on reports that the outbreak may be slowing in China, which, as we know, has been the hardest hit. What are officials saying about those reports?
Well, it's a little bit too early to actually call what they call a plateau, that we've hit the peak. There should be at least 7 to 14 days before we can make a positive declaration that the top of it has has been reached, and that at this point that'll be about containment. But obviously, the Chinese government is very pleased with the idea that they have stemmed the new cases. There are some doubts about that, but at this point, it seems that the WHO, CDC, and the Chinese equivalent of the CDC are satisfied.
Now, we know offices and factories in China are slowly starting to reopen after they were forced to close in an attempt to contain this outbreak. But describe to us what the feeling is on the ground there in terms of business sentiment. I suspect there's still a lot of wariness there.
Absolutely, you're correct. I mean, people are trying to feel their way through. The government is, in essence, advising companies. They put out a 12-point advisory in terms of not only just how you should be handling employees. They were suggesting that companies try to stagger the times in which employees come in, so that you don't create this big, kind of congestion on the public transport. They're also suggesting that non-essential employees who can work from home do so. And they also have a whole bunch of initiatives to encourage companies to retain employees and to give them access to either the very low-cost borrowing or to actually go to the bond markets to make special borrowing so that they can weather this particular situation.
Meanwhile, we're seeing more and more companies pull out of some key global industry events, including the Mobile World Congress in Barcelona, as well as the Singapore Airshow, which has kicked off in Singapore. The effects of this outbreak have really expanded beyond China, haven't they, in terms of worrying the corporate sector?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is a kind of seminal event which is going to show a lot of people in the world exactly how China is vital to the global supply chain. I think that it'll come as a surprise, perhaps, to consumers to understand just how many areas that China is involved. And that it's not just China. I mean, China sends things to other countries that send things to other countries. And this idea that somehow you can isolate China is probably not a good idea. So companies are taking this very cautiously. They're trying to make sure that they're obeying the kind of common sense precautions that are coming out from the Chinese government. But obviously, they're looking at the bottom line as well.
Now, we're seeing more officials in Hubei province, the epicenter of this outbreak, being fired over their perceived lack of handling of the crisis. What are Chinese authorities learning about this latest outbreak?
Well, the municipal response was very poor. They substituted this idea that they wanted to have good news at an upcoming big meeting that was a part of their agenda. And they underestimated exactly what this coronavirus was going to do. They thought it was just something that they could localize, that by going in and sanitizing the market where they thought the epicenter of this outbreak would be sufficient. They did not count on this whole string of contagion that was created. Now, it's not necessarily their fault, but they were in control. They made bad decisions, and the Chinese government's holding them accountable.
Okay, Einar Tangen, we'll have to leave it there, but we'll be keeping a close eye on developments out of China. Thank you so much again for joining us.